It was supposed to be an ordinary night. I had just moved into this old apartment. You know, the kind with creaky floors, faded wallpaper, and a scent of something ancient in the air. But to me, it felt like a fresh start. The building had character, and the rent was cheap. A big plus for someone like me, just starting out in the city. At first, it seemed like everything I had hoped for. But that first night, I felt something that made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. There was something wrong. I remember the night it started, like it was yesterday. It was a warm evening, and I had just unpacked the last of the boxes. My new life had begun. But as the night settled in, a strange unease crept over me. The apartment was eerily quiet, so quiet that it seemed to be watching me. It wasn't just the silence, it was more than that. It was the stillness, the kind of stillness that makes you feel like you're being observed. I brushed it off at first, telling myself it was just the unfamiliarity of a new place. But that night, just as I was about to fall asleep, I heard it. A soft, deliberate knock. At first, I thought it was my imagination, but then it came again, louder this time, more insistent. 3 knocks, and then silence. I couldn't ignore it. I got up and opened the door. There was no one there. I looked down and saw something unusual lying in the ground. A crumpled piece of paper. At first, I thought it might be from the previous tenant. But when I unfolded it, my blood ran cold. It was a drawing, a child's drawing crudely sketched with crayon. A faceless figure standing in front of a window. Its hand was raised, reaching for something I couldn't see. I couldn't understand it. What was left for me? Who drew it? I felt a strange sense of dread, but I didn't want to admit it. So I shoved the paper into a drawer and locked it away. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something or someone was watching me. The feeling never went away. The knocking didn't stop. Every night at the same time, 3 a.m., it would return. But it wasn't just a knocking anymore. The footsteps started, slow, deliberate, echoing through the halls, like someone was standing just outside my door, waiting. I checked the hallway countless times. Nothing. Empty. But there was this one hallway in the building. It was dark, narrow, and seemed to stretch on forever. Something about it felt off, like it didn't belong. I avoided it, but it was always there, lurking at the edge of my vision, calling to me. One night, I couldn't resist anymore. I walked down the hallway. Each step I took felt heavier than the last. The air grew thicker, colder, and I could hear the faintest sound, like whispering, coming from somewhere behind the walls. I reached the end of the hall and found myself staring at a door. It was small, almost insignificant compared to the rest of the building. But something about it made my heart race. It was old, paint chipped and faded, with a brass handle that was nearly rusted. I didn't touch it, but I couldn't tear my eyes away. That night, as I lay in bed, I heard knocked again, but this time it didn't stop at 3. It kept going, relentless, over and over. I covered my ears, but it was no use. It was louder than ever. And then came the whisper, "Let me in." I froze. My heart hammered in my chest. There was no one there. But that voice? The voice was real. It came from just beyond my door, like someone was standing in the hallway, calling for me. I had to know. I had to see what was on the other side. I grabbed the flashlight and stepped into the hall. The air was thick with tension. The light flickered as I walked toward the door. My pulse raced. When I reached it, I turned the handle. It was cold, too cold. The door creaked open, and the smell that hit me made my stomach churn. It was musty, like something had been locked away for too long. Inside, I saw it. A full-length mirror standing against the far wall. The frame was ornate, gold but worn with age. The glass was cracked, but the crack didn't follow a pattern. They looked unnatural, like they had been created by something far more sinister than time. I stepped closer to it, drawn by some invisible force. And then, in the reflection, I saw her, the woman from the drawing. But she wasn't just standing there. She was looking at me, her eyes wide, her mouth open, like she was trying to scream but couldn't. I turned around. No one was there. I looked back at the mirror. The woman was gone. I didn't know what was worse, seeing her in the mirror or hearing the heavy, unnatural footsteps approaching from the other end of the hallway. Slow, deliberate. I felt paralyzed. And then, there it was. A shadow in the doorway. A tall, thin figure cloaked in darkness. Its face was obscured, its eyes hollow black pits. I should have run. I should have screamed, but I couldn't. I was frozen. The figure didn't move at first, just stood there, watching me. And then it reached out a hand, a long, spindly hand, blackened and decayed. It wasn't human. I stumbled backward, my heart pounding in my chest. The air felt like it was closing in on me. The walls seemed to hand unwrapped, like they were alive, like they were trying to suffocate me. I wanted to scream, but the words wouldn't come. I didn't remember how I got out of the building, but I found myself on the street, gasping for breath, the cold night air staining my skin. My heart was racing, my mind was clouded. I couldn't focus. I called the police. They came. They searched the apartment. Nothing. The apartment was empty, no signs of anything strange, no footsteps, no knocking. It was just a regular old building, as if nothing had never happened. But I know what I saw. I know what I heard. I couldn't bring myself to go back. I couldn't even step foot in that building again. The memories haunted me. The knocking, the shadow, the mirror. But I learned something that night. Something I could ever forget sometimes. The things we fear the most aren't the things we see, but the things we feel, and the things that we can never escape. If you ever find yourself in a place where something feels off, trust your instincts. Trust that nagging feeling, because the things that haunt you in the dark don't always stay in the dark. Sometimes they come for you, and there's no way to escape them.